So President Trump is doing what he told the American people he was going to do. He is making America safe again by securing our elections and by deporting all these illegal criminals that flooded our borders during the disastrous Biden open border policy. And what I wanted to drill down in today was a couple things that I've been doing that are sort of connected to that. In the Elections Committee, in the broader House, and then right here in Leavenworth, because we're the epicenter of this fight in Kansas. So in the Elections Committee, one of the things that, as the chairman of the Elections Committee, I try to do is I try to hear people out when they have concerns. And if they have concerns, and we can address them without costing a gajillion dollars, and it doesn't make it hard to vote, let's just fix it, right? We have to have the ability to fix it, because we have a crisis of voter confidence in this country and in the state. We need to bring these people back into the process. And if we can address their concerns and it'll bring them back into the elections process, let's bring them back. Let's address their concern. And one of the concerns that I heard over and over and over and over again last year is about non-citizen voting. And so I'm like, well, let's dig into this and see if there's something we can do about it. Well, the first thing I discovered is, did you know that nowhere in Kansas statute and nowhere in the Kansas Constitution does it actually say that you have to be a citizen in order to vote? Because it was so obvious, nobody ever thought to write it down. It was obvious before 2024, nobody ever thought to write it down. So I'm like, hey, that's low-hanging fruit. We can fix that right now. So this last session, I sponsored a constitutional amendment got 46 co-sponsors, because it was clearly a popular idea, that is going to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot next year, November 26th. I encourage you all to get out and vote. Not just for that amendment, but for me. But the amendment says very simply, only U.S. citizens can vote in the state of Kansas. Seems obvious. Yeah, thank you. The other thing that, once you get it into statute, you have to be able to enforce it, right? And so something else that I did this year is I dug into this, and I don't know if people realize this, but every state's a real ID state now, because President Trump finally put his foot down and said, we're going to enforce this law and make sure that everybody is who they say they are. Did you know that you don't actually have to be a U.S. citizen to get a real ID? Because if you're a legal resident, you've got a green card, and you're allowed to work, you have to be able to get that work, right? And so all you have to get a real ID, you just have to prove that you are who you said you are, with a passport or whatever, and then you have to prove that you're in the country legally. And that could be a green card that you've had for 10 years, or that could be 2 years ago I filled out the CBP-1 app in Guatemala, and America put me on a plane and flew me to Kansas. That's legal right now, right? You're a legal resident until we can do something about that. And so, as I dug into it further, I found out that about 5 times, actually 6 times in the last 15 years, the Secretary of State's office has been able to get the DMV to share that data with the Secretary of State's office, because they don't want to do it because it's extra work. And the last time they were able to share that data was November of last year. And when they reviewed that data and compared it to the voter rolls, they found 80 non-citizens on our voter rolls. And they have evidence that 20 of them voted. Yeah. And if you don't think 20 is a lot of votes, ask Senator Clip back there, who won his election by 31 votes out of 30,000. 20 is a lot of votes. Okay? So we need to clean up this problem. And so something we did this year is at the DMV, or talking to the DMV and talking to the Secretary of State's office, we've passed a law that quarterly the DMV has to provide a list of all of the non-citizens that they issued driver's licenses to, so that the Secretary of State can take that list and can compare it to the voter rolls. And if somebody got put on the voter rolls, we can take them off. And the way it happens, I don't think it's like a vast conspiracy to allow non-citizens to vote. I think the way it happens is that clerk at the DMV's office asks the same question 500 times a day. Do you want to register to vote? And I have met non-citizens who they presented all their credentials, and then they were asked, do you want to register to vote? You know, and the guy that I talked to, he was an Australian national, and you know, he speaks English as a first language. So he's like, I don't think I can do that, mate. But if English is a second language to you, and you just came to America and you're just saying yes or C to everything that you're asked, so you can get your license, you might get registered to vote just because you don't even understand the question you're being asked. And so let's scrub the voter rolls and make sure they're taken off the voter rolls. Something I would like to do as the Secretary of State. When Chris Kobach was our Secretary of State, he got passed through the legislature the authority to prosecute election crimes. And over the years since he's been Secretary of State, that capability is atrophied. Right now in the Secretary of State's office, we do not have a law enforcement officer, we do not have a prosecutor, so there's nobody to prosecute those 20 people who may have voted, even though they're illegal aliens or they're non-citizens, right? And so I would like to reestablish that office. I think, and it's not that, you know, we're going to go on a dragnet, we're going to, we're going to scour the state looking for people. It's a deterrence effect. People are less likely to break the law if they know that they're going to go to jail if they break the law. You know, we're seeing that happen in Washington, D.C. right now, right? President Trump's reinforcing or reasserting the rule of law. We need to reassert the rule of law in election crimes.